Hello, it's me, and welcome. So glad that you're here, and it's time that we have a chat. I want to talk today about thriving. What does it take to thrive? Thrive in life. And life is complicated, life is hard, and success in life is something that you often sort of define for yourself. But what if success is more than just trying to make money and to live a good life? What if success actually looks like thriving? My name is Swen, and I am a pastor, and I've been a pastor for more than 10 years. And working with people and going on my own life journey, I have discovered so much, not any new revelation or anything crazy, just something that is in the way that we're designed. We're not just designed for one thing, right? We are designed to flourish, and we're designed by God to grow, to become better than what, like actually develop, be able to have more relationship, greater capacity for relationship. And we're called to thrive. We're designed to thrive. And so often we can put it into one or two categories. Well, if I've got lots of money, I'm thriving. Or if I have healthy relationships, then I'm thriving. But you know what? Thriving isn't just that simple. Thriving is actually a measure of success, going the different areas of my life, how are they going? So thriving is a multifaceted thing. And in this podcast, I just want to share what thriving really looks like, because we are called to thrive. We are designed to thrive. We don't thrive by default. We thrive by design, where we actually are actively growing in certain areas of our life. And so it is a multifaceted thing. And it's not just this case of, okay, great, I'm going to just pursue business, and I'm going to pursue, career, or I'm going to pursue health. It's actually multiple areas. And so why does it look like multiple areas? Well, the reality is that if you're not thriving in your health, you're not thriving at all, right? If you are sick, then your only goal that you have is to get well. But if you're healthy, then you've got tons of other goals. A lot of business people, a lot of driven people, what they do is they seek success, identity, and acclaim in the whatever the chosen field, whatever business they've started, and they jump into that and they run into that, and they're doing it for themselves, they're doing it for their family, they're doing it for all sorts of reasons. But actually, what tends to happen is that relationships can get damaged along the way, and this so often happens where the people that I personally know and have walked with, they pursue what they think is the measure of success, only to leave their relationships behind. So they're struggling in their marriage, they're struggling in their parenting, and now that becomes the all-consuming thing, because they've been pursuing career goals or business goals, and they've actually ignored the relationships, and just thinking that the relationships are going to always be there, but they won't, and they're not. And so there are multiple areas of thriving. It is multifaceted. My wife has this incredible wisdom where she says, hey, would you play the movie of your life? If you would play the movie of your life based on its current trajectory, and you've watched the whole movie, you're now 80 years old, 90 years old, 100 years old, whenever, and you look back at the movie of your life, do you like what you see? If you continued on the same trajectory as you are now, would you enjoy that movie? And for me, that's always been a massive question mark. Not just for my life, but other people's lives. When you see the decisions that are being made, those decisions are eventually going to lead somewhere, right? And do you like where it's going to lead? Do you like what it's going to show? Do you like the movie that's, I've got all the money, but my family don't know me? Do I like the one where I didn't take care of my health because I was too consumed by my business? Do you like the one where you ignored your finances? You were running with in circles that you couldn't afford to run with, because you were trying to project yourself to be a person that you're not. and all of a sudden it's late in life and you don't have the money that you need to finish that race. Maybe it looks like, you've stopped growing intellectually. Maybe, I don't know, and the world is just sped up right past you because we're living in an incredibly fast paced world, and it's only getting faster with the advent of or invention of AI and how its development is going. Things are only going to speed up for you and me. And so what we need to be doing is making sure that not only are we climbing up the ladder, but to make sure that the ladder is actually on the right wall. Because you can climb up the ladder and you can climb up the ladders of success only to realize that it's been on the wrong wall this whole time, and where you want to be is actually on the other wall, because that's all you focused on. And so in this podcast, I really want to share live stream. I really want to share what it actually looks like to thrive. Okay, if you don't mind me just taking some time to answer that question. What does it look like to thrive? Well, quite simply, thriving is multifaceted. When I was gardening, I would garden because we had a garden. We've moved into an apartment, so I don't have a garden anymore. Which is also a great time save, by the way. But I enjoyed the gardening. And what would happen is I enjoyed cutting my lawn, and the more you cut the lawn, the better it is for growth, sideways growth. I would feed the lawn with all sorts of not chemicals, could it be fertilizers? And then I would water it regularly. And when the sun would shine on the place, it would be stunning. The lawn would be beautiful green. But what happened over time was the trees grew. And as soon as it shifted to winter, the sun stopped landing on a certain patch of grass. It would still get the same amount of water. I would still run a lawnmower over it. It would still get fertilizer, except it wouldn't grow. Why wouldn't it grow? Simply because it wasn't getting any sunlight. You remove one of those things out of the mix, all of a sudden, flourishing and thriving doesn't happen. So it is multifaceted. If I removed water and there was lots of sun, it wouldn't grow. If I didn't feed it, eventually the grass would get sick and die. If I didn't cut it, the grass would get out of control and it wouldn't look good. It would grow to a certain point, but it wouldn't look like a beautiful lawn. So what are some things that we need to think about? I think about it in this way, that thriving is actually like a bicycle wheel. Now imagine a bicycle wheel and it's got all the different spokes, and those spokes connect to the outside of the tire. Now, if you're a Christian, you're saying, okay, cool, well, Jesus is at the center of my life, and hopefully that's the truth. But on the outside of your life is actually how your life is going, right? On the inside influences everything, your why, your motive, your reason. And then it connects to the outside of life. We actually gain traction and where there's actual thriving happening when that wheel is spinning. Now, each of those spokes is an area of life that to me represents what we need to keep on growing in order to thrive. If you're thriving in your important relationships, like those are healthy, well, and strong. If you are finding meaning in your work, if you are financially free or financially stable, which means you're earning more than what you're spending, basically. Okay, it's not about being rich or wealthy. That does help, but ultimately thriving when your costs are lower than your income. Then it looks like health. Are you taking care of your health? Are you living a life of impact? Are you learning? How is your mental and emotional well-being? Because if each of these areas are growing in strength, we're actually living a bigger life, a more fulfilling life. And not only that, we're actually able to thrive. And when we thrive, we grow. What happens is if your marriage is in a very difficult place, and every single marriage gets to that place at some point, that's where we hit the limit of our growth and we have to go again. But if you hit that space where it's a difficult period, everything else becomes a little bit more difficult. Yeah, sure, you might want to go play with your buddies or hang out more at work, but those are not going to strengthen your marriage. They're actually going to make it worse. And the thinking is like you've got to actually put time into your marriage, put time into your relationship, intimacy into your relationship, so that it can continue to get stronger and healthy. Because when your marriage is in a bad place, all you can think about is what is about that. It pulls you down and it drains you. Think about it again in another way, as it relates to health. If your mental health is in a difficult place and your emotional well-being is in a difficult place, you're unstable in so many ways. It can affect your relationships, can affect your work, and you might be able to keep it cool for a while, but eventually you're going to hit breaking point. And it's the same with your physical health. You might think, oh, you can just live at the pace you want to live at. You don't have to sleep. You don't have to eat well, and you're not exercising. Well, you're putting strain on your body, the body that's going to take you to the end of your life. All you're doing is you're shortening your life, shortening the energy that you have. Like I said earlier, a person who's healthy has 100 goals. A person who's sick has one goal, and that's to get healthy. So this impacts in many different areas. Think about even just financially. If you're not financially growing, if you're not financially in a place where you're thriving, then everything else kind of gets consumed by that. You kind of think, wow, man, I'm going backwards. And you're trying all these different things, and you're panicking, you're stressing, you're worrying, impacting your mental health. So here's the picture that I want you to have, is that each of those areas is like a spoke in the wheel. If one of those spokes break, what happens is it puts greater amounts of pressure on the other spokes of the wheel to keep performing. But at some point, those spokes aren't going to be able to take the pressure. Your marriage isn't going to be able to take the pressure. Your relationship with the kids isn't going to be able to take the pressure. Your body isn't going to be able to take the pressure. And one by one, those things begin to snap. And the very thing that you wanted all this time, the financial success, the status of being a wonderful entrepreneur, great business person, employing people, all of that, even that becomes a drain more than a blessing. You just want to pull out of it. So what is the solution? Well, I think at the end of the day, the solution is, how can you make sure that you're growing in the different areas of life? How can you make sure that you're continuing to learn? How can you make sure that you're continuing to grow, that you're to be intentional about your relationships, to be intentional about your personal development, to be intentional about your career development, being a person of impact? What can you do to grow your health base? How can you eat better, sleep better, train better? What do you need to do in order to get a better mental health and emotional health, right? It's all about just asking yourself these questions so that you could develop in a more healthy and rounded way. I'm not saying that it has to be perfect balance. I think balance is it's something we strive for, but I think it's unrealistic. What we need to be going for, I think, is rather, how can I grow stronger in an area in this season of my life? And reflect on which season in your life and figure out what's the most important thing to strengthen, and then strengthen that. And then keep going around the wheel, strengthening what you can, so that if every area starts getting stronger over time, you're going to flourish over time. Flourishing and thriving doesn't happen in an instant. It takes years of intentional living to develop. But if you don't start now, then it's never going to happen. If you don't start now, your trajectory is going to keep on going in a downward trend rather than an upward trend, and let that compound over time. And that compound effect is going to make a massive, massive difference. And so it's just a bit of my own story. Let me have my coffee first. A bit of my own story is that, I neglected my health for a long time. I neglected my sleep. I never liked sleep. I thought sleep was a waste of time. I thought that I didn't need sleep. I wanted to exercise, but I never needed to exercise. I wanted to eat well, but I kind of ate okay. Until my wife told me a little bit while later that I was going through a lot of emotional eating, which I can believe. I can believe there was a lot of crazy things happening in life. I stuck to my devotional routine, spending time with the Lord in prayer and in scripture. And honestly, that was a lifeline to me. And because of his grace and his love and his mercy. But what he was revealing to me was that, hey, you've actually got to take care of the things that I've given you. I've read it in a book recently where it says things like rest and relationship, friendship, exercise. All of those things are actually God's grace for us, for our bodies, to actually live the way he's designed us to live. And so we need the things that we think we don't need. We actually need them deeply. And so I came to a point at the big, at sort of the end of 2023, I think it was, where the way I was living was unsustainable for the role that I had. And I had to make some serious changes. And so some of those changes came down to being highly intentional around my calendar, highly intentional around my time, intentional about what does my week look like? What are the health things that I have to, what are the things, the irreducible minimums of my life that I have to take care of? Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble. And one of those was my spiritual health. I had to keep on making sure that spiritually I am good with God. I'm close with the Lord. I'm listening to him. I'm walking with him daily, reading scripture. The other thing was taking exercise seriously. So I devoted myself to an exercise plan and an eating plan. And that has been, can I just say that that's been a game changer? That is blocked in my calendar. Like unless it's a crazy out of the blue appointment, nothing else gets in the way of those appointments, because those are essential for me, and they are building over time a compound effect in my life, which is going to produce way more than the effort I'm putting in. So it's hard in the beginning, but over time it becomes a maintenance thing. But anyway, what else? I focused on increasing my sleep, which meant making sure that I had an evening routine. And that's been a struggle to implement. It really, really has, because I'm not a great sleeper. So what I do now is I try a shutdown routine at a certain time and I wake up at a certain time. I keep consistent with it as much as possible. So now my body knows that at 9:30, I'm tired. I need to sleep. And then I wake up between 5:30 and 6 a.m. every morning. And then I do my day, and I do my things. And my sleep has improved, not by a radical amount, I must be honest. I hoped it was more. It's probably improved about 45 minutes. So maybe when I was going at 6 hours of sleep, now just under 7 on average, but I'm getting way more over 7. I'm not getting over 8, but I'm getting way more nights over 7. And I'm so happy about that. And I feel better. Then obviously my work and the impact that I have, that is still a focus. Make time for family, block it off. Make time with my wife, block it off. Like, these are all things that make a huge impact. And so I just took it seriously. I said, if I'm going to thrive, and that's my desire, and that's God's desire for me, then I'm going to put into place thing where I am not the chief of all things. God has designed me in such a way as to thrive, but there are conditions that are required for my thriving, because it's multifaceted. And I got to tell you, since putting these things into place, and since developing a reading habit, developing a learning habit, developing all these habits that I've developed over the last 12 months, I got to tell you, I have more energy. I have more creativity. My mood is better. My mood is more stable. I was getting quite erratic at certain points. My mood is more stable. I am more joyful. I'm enjoying my relationships more, while still seeing God do incredible things in and through our church. And so these are just some of the things that I think they're important for us to look at. Don't think that you can keep on going the way you're going without consequences. Modern living is designed to cause you to just collapse under the weight of your own pressure. What we need to do is go, hey, I'm designed to live differently. I'm designed to live with key areas that need focus, strength, and health. And if I can look after those, then I'm going to thrive in life. There was this one positive psychologist who made this. I'm going to give a very broad statement. He said, don't chase after the elusive golden butterfly of happiness. Rather, seek after flourishing. Because if you flourish, you get happy. But if you chase after the elusive golden butterfly of happiness, you won't catch it. It's going to slip through your fingers. It's going to disappear. And so rather cultivate a lifestyle of flourishing. Look at the systems and the processes of your life. If you were to continue to run those systems, are you going to be in a place where you want? And going back to the movie analogy, if you don't like the way your movie ends, guess what? You can change it. You can change it. You can make intentional decisions today. Man, that is amazing. It means that you're not a victim of your life. It means that you're actually someone who can create a future that's better than the one that the reality that you're experiencing now. It means that you can actually grow intentionally. It means that there's something that you can go for something in your life, and you might fail at points, but failure is part of progress. We have to fail so that we learn, so that we can develop, so that we can grow. I mean, even muscles grow because you hit a point of failure, right? And there it requires growth. It's the same in life. Come bigger on the inside. Take care of the key areas of your life, and don't just prioritize one over the other, but give them your attention and see how your life begins to flourish. See how your life begins to grow. And it's going to take time. For me, it's taken about almost a year to actually see. I saw some incredible rewards and some small glimmers of like health and growth after 60 to 90 days. But honestly, like now I'm getting to the end of the year and I actually feel really, really good. I've taken good times off. I've been busy at times, but it's all just come together. Why? Because I focused on thriving in different areas, running the systems that produce health in my life. And I think there's more enough to go around for you. So the question really is, do you care enough about your future to do it? Or are you just going to be like, yep, that's good for some people. It's not my reality, and make excuses? Because I tell you what, excuses won't lead to growth. Excuses get to help you keep the limitations that you have. But why don't you change the way that you think? In fact, the Bible says if you change not in this way, but if you change the way you think, you change the way you live. Craig Rochelle said something like this, that we are or we become what we repeatedly do. Come on. If you want to change, you get to do that. But embrace a life of thriving, and don't go through life on default. Don't go through life just figuring it out one day at a time. Learn, develop, grow. I mean, like, what life are you actually waiting for? That's the realization I had come to. The pain of staying the same was becoming greater than the pain of change. What life are you waiting for that you rather go like, I'm just going to stick to what I have? I'm not talking about being discontented or anything like that, or dissatisfied with the way that you are. I'm saying there is more. There is more health. There's more joy. There's a greater experience of life. There's healthier relationships. All of that on the other side of this decision that you get to make. I hope it's been helpful. I've enjoyed having the conversation with you. And yeah, I'm going to be doing a few more of these over the next while. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate your comments, your feedback. If you've got any questions, just drop them into if you're watching this on YouTube, then just drop it into the comments section, and I'll get back to you as best as I can, because I really want to see how I can add value to your life. And over the next couple of videos that we'll chat all the different areas of thriving and how you can thrive in life and grow and develop, because that's what I want for you. That's what your creator wants for you. And yeah, look forward to the journey with you. Thanks so much. And if you think that if you know of someone who needs this or would benefit from this message, hey, why don't you send it to them, please? It would do me a huge, 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 massive favor. Thank you so much. Take care.